Monday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny Red Bull this morning. What's up, Johnny?
Also known as the original Exciting Whites. Andrew and John.
Nobody's ever said that about us.
I am so, I don't know, I'm so excited because of football season that sets up now to be an incredible finish. You're in a beautiful platform for where you're at. A great night at the stadium. Andrew, it is a great day to be awake.
Dude,
and the Red Bull definitely helps.
I'm sure the Red Bull does help.
But I do not, I got like 3 hours sleep.
Yeah.
So, but I managed to get into the house without waking the dog up or the wife
Wow,
up.
that's big.
Into the sleep number. So no, the bed doesn't move. So she doesn't get moved on her side. I got in and out last night and this morning.
That's good work by you.
It's good.
Eagles beat the Commanders last night, 26-18. There's a lot to unpack from the game, but look, the Eagles are 8-2. The Eagles have won 6 straight games following the Week 5 bye that all of us, when the schedule first came out, looked at and said,
hated.
Man, I wish it was later on in the season. I wish it was in November, early December, early November, whatever. But, man, that bye week for this team, and we are coming to find out it's true that it may have been one of the biggest things for this team. We read the article from Tim McManus yesterday. We talked about it a little bit more during the pregame show, but we saw it on the back end of our show yesterday. The in-depth conversation that took place between Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, and Landon Dickerson when they approached Nick Sirianni's office during the bye week and talked about wanting to change the offense, wanting to use the run to set up the pass, rely on the offensive line, rely on Saquon Barkley. Stop obsessing with chunk plays downfield, finding different ways to get chunk plays without it having to be 30 yards in the air for the chunk play to happen. And to Nick Sirianni's credit, which is what we said yesterday, he sat there, he listened, and he worked with it. One of the best things I read from that article was when Jordan Mailata said, we felt heard. And I think that's something that in any walk of life, no matter what job you do, feeling heard from your boss, from management, is a big deal. And when Nick Sirianni sat down and listened to his offensive players, it changed the direction of the offense. It has changed the direction of this team. They're 6-0 since the bye week. They're healthy for the first time all season, it feels like. And now they're just motoring, man, because that Commanders team, they're no joke. They're not there yet.
No, they're
not. But they're no joke, and they're one of the better teams that you have faced this year. And you handled them. The score doesn't even do it justice because of the missed field goals by Jake Elliott.
I said to you before, Dan Quinn's done a great job there. And,
Absolutely.
And I sort of have a doctorate in Dan Quinn. Watching him for many years, getting to know Dan a little bit, following his coaching philosophies and everything. And last night, I'd said to you before that I always thought the worst part of any work week for Dan Quinn was the 60 minutes that the clock were running. And last night in the fourth quarter, when he made the decision to not take the lead, I thought immediately game over. Yeah. Like in my head, I said game over. He had a young team, a young quarterback, a scrappy effort. Take the lead in the fourth quarter and then see what happens.
Yeah, put all the pressure on the Eagles at that point.
I have no idea what happened there other than the fact that Zack Baun makes he's freaking Batman.
I'm serious.
He's Batman.
When are we going to... Obviously, we have to see the contract happen first.
Well,
when do we start seeing Baun jerseys around the city of Philadelphia?
Okay, now...
I mean, there's so many great players on this team, but this dude is NFC Defensive Player of the Week last week, and he's been such a great story all year.
I believe they're already trying to approach.
I imagine that they are.
I don't know if someone's going to listen.
I told you. I said that to you last week.
And that's scary as hell.
You were saying, I remember last week, John, it was more of an off-air conversation. You were like, man, they got to get this done. They got to get this done. And I said to John, if I'm Zack Baun, I am waiting, baby. If I become Pro Bowl or second-team All-Pro or something, whoop, 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 whoop. That's the value of my contract going up and up and up.
I don't know what that sound is.
I don't know either. Listen, man, I got as little sleep as you did. All right?
Sounded like some Three Stooges sound effects in there.
It did.
I look at where this Eagles team is at 8-2, and last year they were 9-1. And I asked you the question before, and now I'll ask you again. You got another game in the bank. Do you feel better about this team at 8-2 than you did last year at 9-1?
After last night's win, yes.
Okay, so last night showed it to you because of the division?
It was the division. It was just how it looked, and we'll get into the quarterback in a little bit, but the defense was once again spectacular last night. And it goes back to what we were saying from the beginning of the season. No, none of us assumed that the defense was going to be a top 5 defense in the NFL, but we thought that they would be middle of the pack, which is literally, double from what last year. They were at the bottom of the NFL last year. We thought they'd be middle of the pack because of the upside of this team, because of the youth, and there's going to be some growing pains, but there's more talent. They're quicker, they're faster, and they have a better defensive coordinator. But, man, I saw what they did last night against that Commanders offense, which has been efficient this year.
It's been outstanding.
And then, of course, couple that with Saquon Barkley being a freaking maniac. Of course I feel better now than I did when you asked the question a couple weeks ago.
It's incredible the way that they're the way that they put this thing together, because it's as if they punch, they jab, and then the knockout comes. And Saquon Barkley is appearing to get stronger as games go along, which to me doesn't make sense with the amount of carries he's had, with the amount of his career. It's really, really good. He's on pace right now. He's going to be able to set career highs in everything. The only one that it looks like he probably won't get is career highs in receiving yards.
And look, fine.
Everything else,
whatever.
I mean, he has 8 touchdowns right now. Career highs 11, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
His career rushing high is 13-12. He's now within 190 yards of that.
You were obviously at the game yesterday in the press box, so I was watching the game at home, and Herbie started talking about the entire the Hard Knocks situation,
right,
and how the owner said, "Look, I'm going to lose sleep if he goes to the Eagles." And then Herbie continues and says, "The crazy thing is, it's not that they just lost their dynamic player to a division rival. He's having his best career year."
Yeah, because the Eagles are a far better organization than the Giants.
Yeah.
And he is a guy that just shows there are players who are great, who labor in mediocrity because of their organization.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley is a incredible, incredible talent. And, man, Birds fans got to be really happy. They were happy last night.
I'm sure they were, man.
Energy was great.
You could hear it through the TV, not so much from the play-by-play guy. We'll get into that in a little bit